The morning sun glinted off the sleek silver body of the world's most advanced prototype, the Falcon V1. It was supposed to be the pride of Sterling Motors, a car worth over $1 million, built with cutting-edge AI and an engine system that could rewrite the future of automotive design. The company had invited journalists, investors, and engineers from around the world to witness its grand reveal. Cameras were ready, drones hovered above, and the CEO, Charles Sterling, stood tall with confidence. But when he pressed the ignition button, nothing happened. The engine stayed silent. An awkward hush fell over the crowd. Charles frowned and pressed again. Still nothing. He motioned for his top engineers to step in. "Just a glitch," he said with forced calm. 30 of the best automotive engineers in the world surrounded the car, tools in hand, laptops connected to the system. They checked wires, code, and circuits. Minutes turned to hours. Sweat began to bead on brows. "Sir," one of them finally said, "the main processor isn't responding." "We can't find the fault." Charles's face hardened. Cameras flashed. Investors whispered. The moment that was meant to define his career was turning into a disaster. In the corner of the massive showroom, a small girl sat quietly, swinging her legs on a bench beside her father, one of the mechanics invited to assist the engineers. Her name was Lily Carter, only 10 years old, bright-eyed and endlessly curious. While others saw failure, she saw mystery. Her father, Thomas, had told her stories about cars since she was 5. She'd spent hours in his garage, handing him wrenches and learning how things fit together. Now, watching the chaos, she tugged on his sleeve. "Dad," she whispered, "can I see it?" He chuckled softly. "Sweetheart, this isn't like our car at home. These are complicated machines." But Lily's eyes didn't waver. Her determination made Thomas hesitate. He knew that look. "Just for a minute," she said again. "I won't touch anything." Meanwhile, Charles Sterling was pacing near the car, furious. 30 engineers and not one solution? He shouted, "Do you realize the cost of this failure?" No one spoke. The tension was unbearable. That's when Lily's small voice broke through. "Maybe I can help," she said, stepping forward timidly. The room went still. Some laughed quietly. "This isn't a toy car, little girl," one engineer said kindly. But Lily didn't back down. "I just want to look," she insisted. Charles turned, clearly irritated. "And who might you be?" he asked sharply. Thomas rushed forward. "Sir, she's my daughter. Please forgive her." But before he could finish, Lily spoke softly. "Sometimes small things make big problems." Her confidence caught everyone off guard. The CEO's frown softened, curiosity winning over frustration. "Fine," he said reluctantly. "You've got 5 minutes. Just don't break anything." Gasps rippled through the crowd as Lily approached the $1 million machine. Her small hands moved gently over the console, her eyes studying the patterns on the dashboard. She opened a side panel and peered inside. "It's not broken," she murmured. "It's confused." The engineers exchanged puzzled looks. "What do you mean?" one asked. Lily pointed to a cable that connected the central processor to the ignition system. "This wire's reversed. The power's flowing the wrong way. It's like you're telling the car to sleep when you want it to wake up." The lead engineer blinked, stunned. "That can't be." He checked her observation and his eyes widened. "She's right," he whispered. The wrong polarity had been installed during assembly. Charles stepped closer. "Can you fix it?" he asked cautiously. Lily smiled shyly. "If someone hands me a screwdriver." The room fell silent again. One of the engineers handed her the tool with trembling hands. She carefully disconnected the wire, flipped the terminal, and reattached it with delicate precision. When she was done, she stepped back. "Try it now," she said simply. Charles pressed the ignition button again. The lights on the dashboard blinked to life. The engine hummed, and within seconds the Falcon V1 roared awake, its smooth purr filling the entire showroom. The crowd erupted in applause. Charles stood frozen, disbelief and admiration mixing on his face. "You just did what 30 engineers couldn't," he said. Lily shrugged, smiling shyly. "It wasn't broken. It was just misunderstood." Laughter and applause filled the air again. Journalists rushed forward, snapping photos of the young girl standing beside the car that had finally come alive. Thomas stood in the corner, tears welling in his eyes, proud beyond words. "That's my daughter," he whispered to a nearby technician. For the first time that day, the tension lifted, replaced by pure awe. After the event, Charles invited Lily and her father to his office. "I owe you both an apology," he began. "And a thank you." He looked directly at Lily. "You just saved my company's reputation," she giggled. "I just fixed a wire." Charles smiled warmly. "That's what humility looks like," he said. He turned to her father. "Mr. Carter, how long have you been with us?" Thomas hesitated. 10 years, sir." Charles nodded slowly. "From today, you're promoted to senior technical advisor. And as for your daughter," he paused, thinking, "she's getting a lifetime scholarship. Wherever she wants to study, Sterling Motors will fund it." Lily's eyes widened. "Really?" she gasped. "Really?" Charles said, kneeling slightly so they were eye to eye. "Because genius deserves opportunity." Cameras caught the moment as he shook Thomas's hand and patted Lily on the shoulder. That image later went viral. A little girl in a simple dress standing beside a $1 million car, her hands still smudged with grease and a smile bright enough to outshine the polished chrome beside her. The world fell in love with her story. Headlines read, "10-year-old outsmarts 30 engineers." In the weeks that followed, Sterling Motors used the Falcon V1 story in campaigns not to boast about the car, but to celebrate creativity and curiosity. Lily's name became a symbol of young innovation. Schools invited her for science fairs, and magazines called her the little engineer with a big heart. But despite the fame, she stayed the same, curious, kind, and humble. Her father often found her in the garage late at night, tinkering with old gadgets. "What are you building now?" he'd ask. She'd grin. "Something new. Something that makes people happy." Years later, when Lily grew up, she became one of the youngest engineers ever hired by Sterling Motors. Her first project wasn't a luxury car. It was an affordable electric vehicle designed for low-income families. She named it the Hope Line. During its launch, Charles, now retired, stood proudly in the audience. "You once fixed my car," he said softly as she spoke on stage. "But what you really fixed was how I see the world." Lily smiled, remembering that first day when everyone had laughed. "I learned that big problems don't always need big people to solve them," she said to the crowd. "Sometimes it just takes someone small with a big heart." The audience erupted into applause. Outside, the sun glinted off the new car's frame just like it had years ago on the Falcon V1. But this time, the light felt warmer, a reflection of kindness, intelligence, and the courage of a little girl who once dared to believe she could fix the impossible.